or expanding the war in Afghanistan, or still supporting the Cuban the Cuban embargo, then you fail to do your homework and you get caught up into emotionalism. And emotionalism is the worst attribute to have when you're playing politics. Politics is a dirty, dirty business and a dirty game of quid pro quo. And if you don't make demands on your politicians and you just support somebody because it feels good, then you get what you're going to get. So Marcus Garvey we still hail up because that's our standard of leadership. My standard of leadership is Kwame Nkrumah. And Marcus Garvey. People act like these people never existed because now you have a Barack Obama and he makes a speech, on race in America, and people act like it's the best speech they ever heard. And it's really not. Technically speaking, without even it's really not. Television has a way of making the mediocre look great. You've had great speakers in our history like a Marcus Garvey, a Malcolm X, a Louis Farrakhan. These people, great, great speakers. And I'm not taking anything away from the brother because the brother got his hustle on. He's a serious hustler. Obama's a serious hustler. He's actually the most well-paid spoken word artist in the world right now. He raised $100 million in a month? Damn. You know what I'm saying? Let me get some of that. For just some spoken word? Because that's what he's been doing. He's been on spoken word tour. Change you can believe in. Da-da. So it's like, we still defend Marcus Garvey. We're gonna get back on Barack Obama and end with that. But I just want to let people know that this Marcus Garvey thing, we don't let go Marcus Garvey. The flag where I come from Ghana. The flag is after and influenced by Marcus Garvey. A black star from a black star liner. Because Kwame Nkrumah was a student and studied Marcus Garvey and read Marcus Garvey's speeches and works and books and decided, I'm going to go back to Ghana because I'm in the United States studying and we're going to do the black star liner thing. People was laughing at him. And it was the same American government through this foreign policy that overthrew Nkrumah for $10,000. They paid a guy and they overthrew Nkrumah because Nkrumah was going to Vietnam. Interesting story. I'll just give you a little background on that. Kwame Nkrumah, when he was a student in college, was a dishwasher at a restaurant. And there was a guy washing dishes an Asian guy, washing dishes next to him. And they would start rapping about colonialism, imperialism. And it's like, Europe has a foot on our neck in Africa, and the Asian guy's like, Europe has a foot on our neck in Asia, same way. So they used to sit down and just talk and vibes, And so him and Kwame Nkrumah, the Asian guy and Kwame Nkrumah just said, we're not going to stay in the West. I don't know why they call it the West or what. In the West. We're going to go back to our homes and we're going to lead revolution and change in our home. Real change you can believe in. Cool. So Kwame Nkrumah goes back to Ghana. Asian guy goes home. Kwame Nkrumah ends up becoming head of state of Ghana. During that time, there was a war going on. The United States and France had been fighting a war in Asia, with Cambodia and Vietnam and all these different places. It's a big, big problem. So Kwame Nkrumah said he's going to go fly and go see his old friend he used to wash dishes with, his friend Ho. It was Ho Chi Minh. He became head of state of Vietnam. His friend Kwame became head of state of Ghana. So they went and they formed this thing called the non-aligned countries. You didn't support Russia or the Soviet Union during the Cold War. You didn't support America and imperialist powers. They just said, we're non-aligned. We don't have sides with nobody. If you want to come help us develop, you can come help us, but under certain conditions as the non-aligned parties. And all of this was influenced from the teachings and the philosophies, opinion from one man from Jamaica. I'm going to Jamaica for the first time in a few days. And there's something about Jamaica. I don't think a lot of Jamaicans really understand how powerful the country must be or that island must be, that has influenced the whole world in such a serious way, where reggae music, Peter Tosh CDs and albums were outlawed in South Africa during apartheid. But if you had a Peter Tosh album, you could go to prison, or even killed by the apartheid government. And so enough people from Jamaica sometimes, you know, when they don't know their reggae and whatever, I kind of feel bad that they don't know their own birthright in terms of what's coming out of their land. And someone like Marcus Garvey, who come and influence the world. And Marcus Garvey was influenced by another man. He was influenced by Martin Delany. He was influenced by Booker T. Washington from here. He read Booker T. Washington books up from slavery and said to himself, where are all of the important black men of important affairs? And Marcus Garvey, as a young man, said, they don't exist. I will create them. Real interesting philosophy. Most of us, when we talk about the problems. We say, we need this, we need that. Well, we need to start doing this. We need to support each other. We need to do this. We always say that, need. We need to do that. Never, I need to do it. Which is the philosophy that we're supposed to have. Anytime you see something wrong with our people collectively, you have to do it. The reason why there's a problem with black people in the world in terms of black power is because you and me, I haven't done enough. This is how Marcus Garvey thought. Because if he didn't think that way, imagine what would happen. So Marcus Garvey said, I am going to develop black men and black women of affairs, high affairs, and have our own sovereignty. And can you imagine what that could mean when you're under a colonial government and the money is Queen Elizabeth of England? People worship her. Only time streets get clean in colonial countries is when they come into town. See what that does to the psychological disposition of a child who watches dirty roads, and then all of a sudden this person's coming from another place and all of a sudden the streets are clean. So you have the capacity to clean the streets, only if you want to. So when Marcus Garvey decided that he was going to become a leader, this is what's said in his biography by Tony Martin's book, that Marcus Garvey came down with an impending sense of doom when he discovered and proclaimed within himself that he was going to be a leader. He said leadership is everything. Leadership is glory, is blood, is betrayal, it's pain, it's torture, it's suffering. That's why he had an impending sense of doom, and he went into his home and shut down and didn't talk to anybody for 2 or 3 weeks to just contemplate what he was getting himself into. And when he came out of his house, that's when Marcus Garvey became Marcus Garvey. In the short amount of time that Marcus Garvey was in the United States, how many years? 12 years. 2.5 in prison. The paper, the Negro World, had a wider circulation than Ebony magazine does today. No internet, no TV, publication, no nothing. And the Negro World was outlawed in Africa. You couldn't have the Negro. So what would happen is that in African countries, they would get one paper, and they would have little boys assigned to read the paper and memorize the paper, and run to the different parts of the village and recite the paper. That's why people ask me, Heru, how do you remember all the words? And I'm saying, yo, this is who we are when we want to be. If it's important enough, we can remember it. Just like your children, they know all of Lil Wayne's lyrics, trust me. They could know Marcus Garvey's lyrics if it was presented in a way that it was seen as being important. Easy. So, what Marcus Garvey did in 12 years that still resonates today. Every important black person thereafter has modeled themselves in some way, some shape, some form, or after Marcus Garvey's work in his organization. Leadership is not a sexy thing. It's not a thing where you can get on stage and, you know, a girl's going to think you're cute. You know, leadership is a lot of work, man. It's very tedious. And those of you in here who have their own business know. Just for you to get some food here, how much preparation it takes, and no one knows to just see the beautiful food. It takes a lot of work and a lot of no thank yous, no thanks. You don't get a pat on the back. You don't get compensated well. You have a lot of people who dislike you. Your family members may not even like you. So, for people to just think that a guy named Barack Obama is going to come, and all of a sudden Marcus Garvey ain't necessary no more, is a real insult. It's a real insult, because people ask me, yo, what do you think about Barack Obama? And I say, seriously, I don't really think about him. But if I was to think about him, I don't hear him talk about Marcus Garvey yet. I mean, you can't be a black leader and not talk about Marcus Garvey. You just can't do it. It's like to be a Christian and not talk about Jesus. In the sense of the pinnacle for leadership. And that black people in this country aren't holding him accountable for that. And all you can just say is, we're all Americans. And you're happy with that. Means that many of us wanted this sense of inclusion all along. And we just wanted, the slave master to treat us nice and include us on the plantation politics, instead of owning the plantation ourselves. See? So Marcus Garvey, every day, all day long. All about Marcus Garvey. Thinking of the times. Thinking of the times when the world was not stacked against us. And there was a clear line between who was wicked and who was righteous. And everything we touched it turned to gold like old King Midas. But today fool's gold is found in the plots and the plans of those who would seek to divide us. Choose the revolutionary path, and our own family members might not even like us. Having family reunions and they don't even invite us. These are people who say that they ain't African, although they look just like us. What can you say about a people who have the energy to celebrate rituals of slavery, but when it comes to defending truth and rights, they say they're too tired, they've got the itis. Rude to their own people, but to other people they are the politest. Self-hatred was found in the mystery of history, where every important person waited to be the whitest. And if history don't serve Babylon, then of course they will rewrite it. Just like you went to church and they told you that Jesus and his family was saved by Africa. Yes, Africa saved Jesus and his family, but today the center of Christianity is found in Rome, the home of Pontius Pilate. When will we rule again? When will we rule again? When will we rule again? Marcus Garvey is your best friend. In the British Museum, they got our artifacts without our permission. In the Smithsonian, they got our artifacts without our permission. In the New York Metropolitan Museum, they got our artifacts without our permission. In the Cairo Museum, they got our artifacts without our permission. Seems like they beat black folks into agreeable submission. That's because when we met them on the shores, we didn't use our intuition. The poets spoke, but the people never listened. They were hypnotized and magnetized by all the bling bling shiny things that would glitter and glisten. But the poets speak today, my people, will you listen? The only point of bling bling shiny things is to distract your vision. And distracting your eyesight is the #1 tactic of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. Because when it's hard to separate illusion from reality, that's when it's hard to tell fact from fiction. When will we rule again? When will we rule again. Marcus Garvey is your best friend. And don't you tell me about your updated religion, because the slave master pushing his religion on you was strictly a business decision. Millions of my people came up missing, put on ships with blood, feces, and pissing, came to America in a half-dead condition, brutalized, sodomized in an anti-African system. Black Muslim, Black Hebrew, Black Christian, there can be no Abrahamic division. We're older than Abraham. Don't let them create a superficial partition. Black Hebrew, Black Muslim, Black Christian, what is your position? The only answer is Pan-Africanism. When will we rule again? When will we rule again? When will we rule again? Marcus Garvey is your best friend. Don't you tell me about no King James version of your religion, when we know that Asar Aset was in the primary position. And who you think you fooling with some bleached out Egyptian? How can a man take away your mental health, take your wealth, move with stealth, put on a suit and tie, and you look at him with no suspicion? We burn George Washington, it's evident. We burn all of their presidents, even Abraham Lincoln. "20 miles of Black Star liner. Captain Babylon, your ship is sinking. You're the reason why the world is dry, rotten, and the environment is stinking. What you thinking? Watch the thief there. They stole that while you were blinking. Thief again, blink again, blink again, thief again, blink again, blink again. When will we rule again? When will we rule again? When will we rule again? Thief again, blink again, blink again, thief again, blink again. It's as logical for a Jewish man to call his son Adolf as it is for a Caribbean person to name their son Winston after Winston Churchill. The thief, the raper, the robber. How many Africans did he really kill while he colonized everyone and didn't like when Adolf Hitler was trying to colonize him? It was called World War II. Why is it that every single time that white people go to war, it's called a world war? Are they the only people in the world? Black people, start thinking, defend your position. When will we rule again? Marcus Garvey is your best friend. Play it. Play it. They say that this is a historical moment, so allow me to get historical inside of this moment. My people, whatever you do, be for who be for you. Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome. Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome, Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. Lucius, born in Africa, this history is crazy. Turn off the music, turn off the music. Listen. Lucius, born in Africa, this history is crazy. Septimius became the emperor of Rome in 193 AD. Severus, we had high hopes for you, every African man, woman, and baby. But you became the metaphor of a weeping willow tree, so sad, so shady. You went along with their brutality. You went along with their insanity and your disregard for non-Roman humanity. You forgot about your history and adopted a Roman identity. Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome, Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. Oprah Winfrey's best friend is influential and her name is Gail. All best friends are influential and Barack Obama's best friend seems to be Israel. Even with blinking lights, listen, even with shiny blinking lights and makeup, the truth can never hide. A black leader recently went to Israel and said that the treatment of Palestinians looks just like apartheid. Some say that your speech on race was a nice try. You've given the image that you're a very, very nice guy and an oh-so peaceful man. But I've read the transcripts of your speeches and you want to bomb Iran. And you want to expand the war in Afghanistan. Man, oh man, how will you explain to your daughters why Israel can have nuclear weapons but Iran cannot? How America can have nuclear weapons but Iran cannot. How even South Africa under white rule can have nuclear weapons but Iran cannot. Explaining to your daughters without using double standards, you cannot. Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome, Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. Listen, Lucius Septimius Severus, you did not reverse the imperial policies of previous Caesars. You made fools out of those who were serious believers. You defended the interests of Rome and not the interests of your father's home. You alone, man, became the most loyal Rome man. You prided yourself as a true patriot of Rome, a black man who was a true patriot of Rome. You alone, man, became the most loyal Rome man. See, history is a current event. So the past is the present and the present is the past. To you, Rome came first and Africa came last. The perceived source of relief was the source of our belief. Again, the perceived source of relief was the source of our belief. That's why we believed in you so prematurely. 2,000 seasons later, you think that we would mature, see? You with your speeches and your defense of all things Roman. In 2008 and 2009, will we still fall for seductive symbols and tokens? Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome, Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. So the next time you go to Florida on vacation, on a family vacation to scuba in Key Largo, look 90 miles to the south and explain why you kiss up to China but you support the Cuban embargo. Does that make your sponsors giggle? Maybe a lot, maybe a little. Will they quibble with this riddle? What's worse? The fact that Bill Clinton had Monica Lewinsky, or the fact that your top foreign policy advisor is Zbigniew Brzezinski? You know, one of the guys behind the Trilateral Commission. You know, one of the guys who believe that the rule of law is legal fiction. You know, one of the guys who believes that doublespeak is perfect diction. You know, one of the guys behind the Trilateral Commission. You know, one of the guys who believes that doublespeak is perfect diction. One of the guys who was the prescription glasses to David Rockefeller's world domination, blurry vision. You know, one of the guys who believes that rubbing shoulders with evil is good for friction. But your supporters are hypnotized by you, magnetized and galvanized by you. They say you're playing chess on a very high level. But some of us don't play chess with the devil. Some of us play a game called stress with the devil. Some of us don't play chess with the devil. No, we play a game called confess with the devil. The continent of the oldest kings and queens demand your loyalty. The key to playing chess is to never lose your royalty. Would-be First Lady, it's not too late for you to check your mate. Lucius Septimius Severus, O ye black emperor of Rome. Barack Hussein Obama, black president of the brave people's home. Painted in staccato is the airbrushed image of a tragic magic mulatto. Kenya, Kenya, Kenya. Kenya become president with elation and forget about grandma in a neo-colonized East African nation? It's a hell of a situation when Dick Cheney is a family relation. What is the proper allegiance for black people who have a historical grievance and a black people who are under siege? When a country stabs you in the back, it makes it a crime when you bleed. Abraham Lincoln was your hero, but the Emancipation Proclamation was a zero because there was no one it freed. When a country gets its fruits from the extermination and the experimentation of the red and black seeds, Jeremiah Wright was right, he never lied, when he preached about the book Medical Apartheid. But you condemned his plea because you know and I know that Americans don't read. Can you be a patriotic American and a good world citizen? Is it possible to be a good American and a high-octane African in a nation where the national pastime is not baseball, but deceiving, deceiving, deceiving? You may wake up and be seeing Lucius Septimius Severus starring in a new epic movie as Barack Hussein Obama, called Change You Can Believe In. My people, whatever you do, be for who be for you. Ha.
Yeah. Come on, y'all, let's hear it for my brother Heru. Let's hear it. Come on, let's show him some love now. Come on back here, Heru. Heru, please, come on back. Now, Heru and I co-host a show called Black Star Line 9 Time. But I want to tell y'all something. This is a very hard-working Pan-Africanist brother that deals with practical application. And hopefully we'll get a lot of people to emulate that. And, Mike, yeah. So we're going to keep things right rolling along. And I want y'all to remain standing for a second. Mike.
100 years ago, God, as it were, sent his begotten son, Marcus Messiah Garvey, to redeem his people by showing us the only way towards our salvation. For reasons known only to the Almighty, the little town of St. situated on the north coast of Jamaica, was chosen as the birthplace of this great prophet, teacher, and leader. The date of this modern miracle was August 17, 1887. Garvey was a man who, in retrospect, was far ahead of his time. This is clearly proven by the fact that his ideologies have resurfaced today and could be considered a major factor in the liberation of African peoples the world over. He sought to revive the spirit of black people from despair to hope, from lethargy to positive action, from fear to courage, from inertia to assertiveness, from anti-discrimination dodges to manly confrontation. He gave them goals possible to man, the highest creation of God, because he believed with all his heart in the innate abilities of the African race. On August 1st, 1914, Garvey launched the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League in Jamaica, an organization to advocate the unity and blending of all Negroes into one strong, healthy race. After the First World War, there was a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan influence in the United States. Another decade of racial hatred and